Hey YouTube, what to do with your girl Chatty saying I'm back on another video for you guys. So on today, you guys, we are going to be doing a reaction video to Reesa Teesa Who the F Did I Marry finale. So if you aren't caught up on the situation, let me just give you like a little backstory. Like I'm really going to simplify this in the most quickest way possible. She met this man on a dating app. She married him. All the red flags and signs were there. She ignored them because she wanted love and she wanted a family. Long story short, he turned out to be a con artist, basically. He had no money. He was collecting unemployment and he just lied to her about their whole relationship. I think she was with this man for like a year and a half before she divorced him. And they was together for like 4 months before 4 months and she became pregnant. She had a miscarriage. So the story is a mess. So part 40 is ending with she knows the truth. She kicked him out the house. The brother is on the phone with her, basically telling her like he lied about everything. So this is where we at, y'all. Okay, this is where we at. This series has been extremely draining, but I also do think that it was very informative. So anyway, y'all, grab you some wine or some tea or something, because we just gonna get right into this. This is a blind reaction. I've watched all the other parts, so I'm just so interested into seeing like how this ends. So let's just get to it, okay, y'all? We in for a ride, I think, y'all. I think we in for a ride. Part 40.
Part 41, who the fuck did I marry? So this is a continuation of my conversation with Chris, which will then lead into some other stuff. So Chris has confirmed that he has not spoken to Legion since 2015. So now we know that the phone calls that Legion was having every morning on the phone with Chris when we were, getting ready to go to work, the phone calls were fake. I demonstrated in the last video how I think how he was doing those phone calls, because he would relay messages from me to whoever was on the phone. So Chris and I also then talked.
I just want to say that I do sympathize with her because I am a woman. Understand the need or the longing to have a relationship or a marriage, to have a family, to have this house with the white picket fence. I get it, right? I do get it. However, there were so many red flags prior to her getting married to him that I think she ignored because she wanted love. And I just want to say to all my ladies out there, do not ignore the red flags, okay? Do not ignore the red flags, okay? Because then you're going to be the next Reesa Teesa, okay? You don't want to start off dating someone and there are 1,000 red flags, and then you get into marriage and then you have 1 million red flags, okay? Take heed to the universe. Let the universe talk to you and tell you what it is that you should be doing, because you don't want to end up in this type of situation, which is freaking terrible. And yeah, I'm going to say that this is alleged because we don't know. She has yet to show receipts on any of this. I do believe that I read somewhere like there's a lawsuit out. Although she did not use any names, the dude told on himself. Like, she was giving us either fake names or nicknames or whatever. Like, he just came out the blue and said, "Yeah, I'm Legion." Like, what? So, anyway, the moral of the story is do not ignore the red flags. Okay? Shall we continue? Do not ignore the red flags.
About their parents. So if you remember in the beginning, I told you from the get-go, this man was, very respectful of law enforcement because his dad was a retired Philadelphia police officer. The mom was a retired teacher. And so he had the utmost respect for law enforcement. That's what he used to always say. Because again, there's a lot that he lied about, so I'm trying to only highlight the big things, because truthfully, it got to a point where when he would say that as a VP in his company, he had a meeting with the local sheriff. Child, we know that's a lie, so I don't even need to go into detail about that, because again, why?
Try to pause, y'all. I just want to say, she said that he lied about the little things, and this is what I just want to put out there. Wrong again. I'm just reacting to based off of what I see here. Those little lies led to this big lie, right? And if you watch the other parts, she did say that she gave him leeway with his lies, right? And she did put out this disclaimer that she's going to tell the truth even if it makes her look bad and blah, 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 blah. But there were times, allegedly, in her story where she says, like, I knew he was lying, but I gave him something to get out of the lie. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like there were so many red flags, like so many red flags, and she ignored them. And like I just think that, like, it's as a woman, like I don't know how old she is. I'm gonna give her about 40. But as a grown woman, like, you did not see this coming. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm saying allegedly because I don't know, but I feel like at certain point in your life, when you get to a certain age where maturity starts to set in, or should set in, you should, like, your brain should be registering like, oh baby, this ain't right. Oh baby, this ain't right. You know what I'm saying? So like, I have so many questions to ask because, and I know she said she's gonna do a TikTok live and answer all the questions or whatever. But like, why did you continue to give him passes when all the flags were there? You know what I'm saying? Like, he was lying. The stories weren't adding up. He was misleading you. He was manipulating you. He was using you. Like, you continue. You know, like you gave him leeway on the lies. So I just have some questions, y'all. I really do. I'm sorry.
Hi. So I told Chris what Legion said about their dad being a retired police officer. And I was explaining how he said the mom was a retired teacher. So Chris listened. Again, very gracious, very nice guy. He listened and he was like, so are you ready for me to tell you what's true and what's not? And at this point, I was already convinced I was going to be drinking heavily that night after this phone call. So I was like, go ahead. All right, so here's what Legion said. Legion said, my dad was a retired police officer with Philadelphia PD. When he retired, he and my mom moved to Augusta. I was there for high school, and they started a...
And I don't know if this is like something that happens. I don't know. But like, she like knows. Like, if you get me, you get me. Like, yeah, it allegedly is something that she lived through. But like, if you look at the rest of the series, like, she repeats herself in the same way, in the same manner, in the same tone. She kind of gives me like serial killer vibes because like either this really happened to you or you're a really great actor. Like, I don't know, like it's like she's so mild tone. Maybe because she's over it, she's out of it, and she's moving on. Let's give her grace. Let's give her grace because I would like to think that my good sis is not making this up. Because I've seen a lot of theories out there about how there's so many loopholes in her story, but perhaps this could be true. I don't know. I'm doing a reaction based off of what I see. This is my reaction. Okay, okay, get with it. It's my reaction.
Church. He took me to that church in Augusta and showed me where the church that they started. The truth. Dad, according to Chris, their dad was nowhere near the church. That man ain't go to church on Easter. He ain't go to church on Christmas. He was like, my dad he ain't stepped foot in the church since the day he got married. That was the last time he went to church. He ain't have nothing to do with church. He said that their father was the furthest thing from a pastor. And he was like, I love my dad, but that man drank, smoked, and nah, he was not a pastor. The mom was not a retired teacher. She did substitute teach at one point, but she was not a retired teacher.
I mean, he lied up until this point, baby. So we know all that stuff is lies. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you had to come back and clarify that everything he said was a lie because, baby, he lied from the beginning to the end. Even after there's one point in the story, I think like the last 10 parts where all the truth came out and they signed divorce papers and she met up with him. I believe it was like in Augusta, Georgia, somewhere, and he had been sleeping in his car. Even then, he was telling her, "I'm gonna go stay with a family member." When clearly, she was saying that he looked a mess, he was stinking, and that it looks like he was sleeping in the car, and he was still lying then. So the man has not stopped lying up until this point. You know what I'm saying? So we know all this is a lie, sis. We know all this is a lie. I'm just saying.
The dad was a truck driver. And not only was the dad a truck driver, at one point, he was a correctional officer. And so I said to Chris, I was like, I said I had no idea, of course. I had no idea. So now we know the truth. The dad was never in law enforcement. And I'm not knocking correction officers. I want to make very clear, because I know that sometimes people that work in law enforcement feel like, look, when I'm out there patrolling, that is not the same as being a correction officer, and correction officers may feel the same. So I just want to give the distinction between the two. So the dad at one point was a correction officer. However, his primary career was a truck driver. And so the dad would do long hauls. So Chris is explaining, no, he was like, now that's funny. He said, if you knew our dad, you would understand how funny that is to even insinuate that he was a pastor. And so I told him about the church that we went to. He was like, oh, okay. So he took you to a church in Augusta and told you that was our parents' church. He was like, now, our mom used to go to church, every now and then. But he said, our dad ain't been to church since the day he married mom. So the church that Legion took me to and said that his parents started that church, that was not true. So he just took me on a field trip for nothing, basically. So I told him about the weekend, because I did tell Chris where I worked. And that is when Chris said to me, because at the time I worked in a law enforcement agency, and he said to me, now how does that work? He said, because Legion, he done been in trouble a few times. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I had not yet gone online into the court system to see what type of trouble he's been in. And so he explained to me, he was like, just run his criminal history and you'll see it for yourself. He said, because I don't know all the charges, but run his criminal history.
All the charges? How many charges are there, Chad?
I said, okay. He gave me some homework. I'll run his criminal history. So again, he cleared up a lot of stuff in regards to the family dynamics. He did explain to me that, yes, he does have a daughter. He and his ex-wife are divorced. And I said, well, Legion would talk about the niece, meaning Chris's daughter, and would send her stuff for her birthday. And he was like, he said, I'm almost positive my brother never sent anything for my daughter's birthday. And I explained to him, I said, isn't your daughter's name Egypt? He said, no. Who the hell is Egypt? And I said, I was told that was your daughter's name. That's the reason why I'm saying the name on here, because obviously we're about to confirm that's not the daughter. So I said, I was told that's your daughter's name. I said, I went with him to Rack Room Shoes and bought shoes for what I was told was your daughter. And she lived in St. Louis with your ex-wife? He said, no. He said, my daughter and my ex-wife do not live in St. Louis. He said, I don't know who Egypt is. He was like, are you sure it wasn't for a woman? And I said, well, it was kids' shoes. And he was like, no. He said, and I told him, I said, I went to the UPS store, I mailed it, and it, you know, they printed the label with the girl's name on it, and I'm thinking this whole time it's Legion's niece. Chris is like, I don't know who that is. That's not even the name of one of our cousins. So I have no idea, ladies and gentlemen, who my ex-husband was buying girl shoes for and had me sending them, telling me it's for his niece. I have no idea. So Chris is like, yeah, he finally said to me the same thing the ex-wife said, which is pretty much whatever he told you is a lie. And I'm being honest with you guys. It is very hard to comprehend that everything is a lie. Like, there has to be something that's true.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm like, how was he paying? If he wasn't working at the condiment company, or he got fired from the condiment company, how was he still paying the bills? Keep in mind, we never joined our accounts. He wanted to, but we never did, because he wouldn't show me the offshore, the savings account, which of course never existed. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, I know that I saw his checking account, I know that I saw his savings account, and he had money in there. Something had to be true. Something had to be true. And Chris was like, no. He said, it sounds like everything my brother said, everything that he told you was made up. He said, those phone calls were definitely made up. He said, I don't know who Egypt is. That's not any family member of ours. I don't know who Shantae is. We don't have a sister. He said, we don't have half brothers. He was like, I'm telling you who the family members are. He said, I am so sorry that my brother put you through this.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So now let's go into
part 42.
The next part. Part 42. Who the fuck did I marry? So I finished going through the book bag. Still July of 2021. I finished going through the book bag. There were some other folders with papers in there. He had left the work phone. What I actually found out was that it was not a work phone. It was simply a secondary personal phone. He told me it was a work phone. I thought that the company was paying for the work phone. That's what I thought. No.
Girl, you thought a lot. You ain't
because
know
I found receipts where basically, and I didn't know this, ladies and gentlemen, I had no idea, but I found receipts where it was a prepaid phone and he's paying to add minutes to it. So it's just receipts of, you know, you added minutes to the phone on this date, you added minutes on that date. So the work phone whole thing, that was a bold-faced lie. Obviously it was a lie, because as we now know, he was a forklift loader. So the work phone that he's been walking around with was really just a secondary phone. He had left the phone. He took his personal phone, meaning the main phone, I should say. But the work phone, he left. So I'm going through the work phone, just trying to find some sort of answer. Now what is really burning in my mind is how is it that he had all this money in the accounts, but again, the last time I saw him, he's living in his car. Like, the math is not mathing.
For me neither.
I go into not just the photos of the work phone. I go into the deleted folder. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to go through somebody's phone, which I will never do again, but if you're going to go through the phone, don't just go through the text messages and the pictures. Go into the deleted folder.
Period.
Because sometimes you find a gold mine.
Period.
In this case, I went into the deleted folder of the pictures in the work phone. I keep saying work phones because, again, this is just a secondary phone. It is deactivated. There's no minutes on it. So I go into the deleted pictures, and what I see is what looks like a screenshot of his checking account, the one that I saw with the available balance. Then there's another photo of the screenshot of the savings that he showed me.
Girl, now he photoshopped.
Now, one of two things it could be. Either one, it's not real and it was pulled offline, or two, he took a screenshot of his own account and saved the photos. So this is when I got introduced to reverse Google image search. I did a reverse Google image search. Sure enough, as you probably have figured out, some of you, because I read it in the comments,
it's on Google.
What he showed me when he turned his phone around, showing me his available checking account balance, was nothing more than a screenshot that he had found on Google. When he showed,
I just want to say, y'all, I just want to say that you married this man. You didn't know, you barely knew his name. You didn't know how much money he had in his account, where he worked at. You didn't meet none of his family. I'm just trying to understand, how did you marry this man? And this is my question. As women, are we that desperate for love that we will just settle? I'm really trying to understand that you knew nothing about this man, but you believed in the beginning, allegedly, what he told you. I mean, you didn't verify. I mean, y'all didn't go out and he didn't, like, I don't know, like, pull out a lot of money. Y'all didn't go to the ATM together and you see him take out money. Like, you was with him for over a year. He didn't ask you to file his taxes. Like, I'm just saying, because most men rely on their women if they're in relationships to do these things, right? Oh, I got a bill, huh? Can you take care of this? You know, I pass you the money, but can you handle it, right? So are you saying that he handled all the bills and everything and nothing ran through you in your own house? Like, I'm just trying to, I mean, yeah, he was a low down dirty dog. Don't get me wrong, allegedly. But it sounds like you was using him and liking the situation because he was paying all the bills. Like, I think it only became a question of money and income and assets when he didn't allow her to see the other accounts. So I don't know, Miss Reesa. It's giving you was hungry for some reason. All right, y'all. Let's continue. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
me his savings, turned the phone around, because remember I demonstrated for y'all how he was, and then, you know, turned it around and showed it to me as if he was signing in. When he did that, he was simply showing me a screenshot that he had taken from Google Images. Because when I did a reverse Google image search with those two photos, the checking and the savings, it came right up. It was nothing more than just Google Images. In my phone, I didn't even need this because, again, I already knew that he was not a VP regional manager, but still, for shits and giggles, I did a reverse image search of the charcoal BMW. Remember I told y'all he had sent me pictures of the company car. Nothing more than a screenshot he had taken off of Google Images. The house that he showed me that he had in San Diego, Google Images.
Sure, you didn't notice me.
So, what we can now confirm is anything he showed me when he's turning his phone around is nothing more than an image from Google Images.
You did not know this man, Savannah.
At this point,
you did not know
the checking account, the savings account, Google Images. The house, Google Images. The company car, that charcoal gray BMW 5 Series, Google Images. So at this point, I realized, okay, nothing is real. And I wasn't so much in a rage, to be honest with you. I wasn't in a rage then and there. as much as it was, I really truly had a moment where I said to myself, oh my God, what the fuck have I let in my life? Like, this is not even human at this point. That's really how I felt. Like, again, as someone who, I studied psychology, but I didn't graduate with a psychology degree.
Girl,
however, I have never dealt with a pathological liar. I have studied about them, but
excuse me, I just want to say, girl, don't not too much on the psychology majors, because everybody else and their mama saw this happening to me. So I don't know what school you went to. I know you said you ain't graduate, but don't put that on them psychology majors, okay? Because, baby, we saw this a mile away. All right. It started from the first date when you caught that flat tire. That was a red flag. You should have kept it moving. Should have kept it moving.
I've never come into contact with a pathological liar, because to a compulsive liar, if you ask them, man, why did you lie to me? They probably are going to have a reason. Pathological liars don't have a reason. Like, there's no limit to the lie.
No limit.
So I have now confirmed that at least 70% of everything that I thought I knew is now absolutely not true.
You didn't notice.
Absolutely not true.
And I noticed, man.
So in between all of this, I get a phone call from the aunt in Augusta. The aunt in Augusta, who Chris has confirmed is the mother's best friend. She is not their mother's sister or dad's sister. She's the best friend of the deceased mom. She calls me, and this is the one I have met. This is the one that Chris was like, I don't trust that hoe, anyway. So she called because she wanted to know what happened. She wasn't trying to be nosy or messy or anything like that. She's just trying to find out what happened, because apparently Legion is trying to come stay with her.
Oh, Jesus.
So she asked me, sweet lady, but she said, what happened with you guys? And I told her we're getting a divorce. I said, because he lied to me a lot. He lied to me a lot. And so what breaks my heart about the conversation with her is that she said, so whatever happened to the baby? Mind you, we went to Augusta, told her I was pregnant. I thought he told her that I had a miscarriage. He didn't. He never told this woman I had a miscarriage. So she informs me, this is what she tells me. So now we're confirming something else. She tells me that on at least 5 times while I'm at work, Legion was driving to Augusta and telling her that he was going to visit the church of where the parents allegedly the church that the parents started. And I was like, what do you mean he went to Augusta? She said, I've seen him like 4 or 5 times. He's come down here, and each time I've asked him to bring the baby. And I said, what baby?
Right. And
she said, the baby that y'all had. He told me that y'all had a baby boy. And I said, no, ma'am. I said I had a miscarriage in June of 2020.
He lied on the kids.
And man. She said, oh my God. Oh, she was doing that whole thing. She said this whole time he told me that y'all had a son in January. And I have been asking him for pictures. I have been asking him to bring both of you down here so I could meet him. And he always had an excuse as to why he wouldn't bring the baby. And the last time he was in Augusta, he said that he was leaving you and he was taking the baby with him and that you were at work. I am not making this up. That is what that woman told me. And I just was like, no, ma'am. None of that is true. There is no baby. I said I had no idea he was going to Augusta. Next part. Part 43. Who the fuck did I marry? So after the conversation with the aunt, again, she's telling me that Legion has been keeping up this lie that we had a son. I let her know, no ma'am, there was no baby. We did not have a baby.
And sis get me every time she say part whatever of who the F did I marry. Who the F you married was a stranger. Marry a stranger. You do not know that man. You do not know that man, Savannah. You were desperate. You were desperate for love. And you got put up. Yeah, I know y'all gonna cancel me. I know y'all gonna cancel me. But I'm gonna say what all y'all thinking that y'all afraid to say. That man is guilty of lying. Yes, he is. Allegedly. He is guilty of lying. But Miss Reesa Teesa, he's not innocent neither, y'all, because she played a part in this as well. So she too is also guilty as well because she allows him to keep lying to her. So this is what I'm gonna say. If you allow someone to keep hurting you over and over and over and over again, do you get to keep blaming that individual? Let's proceed. Don't shoot the messenger.
And I said, I thought that he told you. And she said, he's told a few people that you all had a baby. And she said, because I know some people were trying to send a gift to celebrate the birth. I didn't know anything about that. Didn't know anything about that. So she said, he's trying to come stay with me. She said, but I don't think I want him to, again, she's an older lady. She's like, I don't think I want him to come here because I don't really want to get involved with his divorce again. And I said, what do you mean again? I said, are you talking about the previous wife? And I said the previous ex-wife's name. She said, I don't know who that is. I'm talking about Latanya, that one, the first one. And I said, well, what happened? Do y'all remember I said in my previous video that I read their divorce records. He had filed for divorce and they had a temporary protection order against each other.
Did he have a baby with the first?
I said that. So now the aunt is on the phone saying that she had to go to court and testify on Legion's behalf in regards to the temporary protective order. And I was like, well, what happened? She said they got into a fight with each other. And she slapped him. And I said, well, do you know why they got into a fight? And she said, yeah, apparently he had lied to the wife and it was something major and they got into a physical fight. And she said that woman almost beat his behind. And so he asked the court for a temporary protective order. So now I'm just getting the backstory on how that TPO was even came into play. So I told her, I said, you know, Miss Christy, we'll call her. I said, you don't have to worry about that. I said, we're not, he's already signed the paperwork. We're not fighting. I don't have it in me. I don't. So I said, I'm not going to tell you not to have certain people in your home, but I am going to tell you that I'm just barely kind of discovering exactly what the lies are in regards to Legion. So if you feel comfortable having him in your home, then do it. I said, but I am going forward with this divorce, and once the divorce is final, I will have nothing to do with him. And I said, and I'm so sorry, you know, that he lied to you and kind of pulled at your heartstrings in regards to a baby. I said, there is no baby. So she said, so y'all are really getting a divorce? I said, and I didn't want to cuss to the older ladies, but I said, yes, ma'am, we are. We are. And so we get off the phone. Also during this time, Legion would call me every now and then. Legion had no idea. I've spoken to his ex-wife. I've spoken to his brother. I've spoken to his female cousin. He had no idea. I have now, if we want to go through real quick and talk about what we can confirm.
Be careful.
We can confirm that there is no sister. We already knew there was no baby. There was no VP job. Again, he was a temp, and apparently he was making decent money. So what I believe, and this is just what I think off of putting pieces together, I think that he made enough money to pay the household bills, because it wasn't as if the household bills were so expensive. He made enough money to live on his own. But instead of him living on his own, he's living with me. So we can also confirm that when he told me that he was paying his car off and he called the dealership and paid his car off, we can confirm that that's a lie. That story will come up later on. So pretty much at this point, the only thing I know to be true, his name, his date of birth, the secondary social security number that was on my background check, and that he has 2 brothers and the parents are deceased. At this point in time of July 2021, that is all that's all that I was able to confirm that to be true. So later on, Legion calls me. He calls me because he wants some money. He just needs a little bit of money to hold him over till payday.
You better not.
And so we're on the phone. The call, again, I was recording all my calls at the time. We're on the phone, and I finally kind of confronted him, number one, about having a twin. That's when he tells me, you know, I don't know why I lied, but I don't really talk about him. Number two, I asked him why did he get fired from the condiment company. His story is that he got fired because he had helped a truck driver and he was not supposed to. I know it's a lie. Y'all don't even have to tell me. I know it's a lie.
Not at this point.
Number three, I asked him, why did you tell your aunt that we had a baby? He claims he never told her that, and that she's old and she didn't know what she was talking about. So then I asked him if he was ever in trouble where he's been arrested. And he said, yeah, I've been arrested as a juvenile, but my father had my record expunged. I said, were you ever arrested as an adult? He said, nah, I ain't never been arrested as an adult. I said, so you never went to weekend jail? He said, no, I don't even know what that is. So he doesn't know what weekend jail is. That's his story. And so he was still standing by the lies he told me. So finally, I just asked him, and this is where let me just say it. I asked him, why the hell did you even marry me? Like, why? Why did you even marry me? Because you easily could have just stayed dating or been the boyfriend or just moved on with your life. Like, you didn't have to marry me. You didn't have to pull me into a marriage and make me think that this is what you wanted. This is what he said to me on that phone call. He said, I had to marry you. And I was like, no, you didn't. He said, yes, I did. He said, I knew full well from day one that there was no way you were going to stay my girlfriend for longer than a year. He said, I knew it. He said, I knew in order to keep you, I was going to have to marry you. Y'all, my jaw hit the ground. I could not believe he said that. And he said it so matter of fact. And I was like, that is the most fucked up thing you could ever say. Part 44. Who the fuck did I marry? The videos that you saw earlier were filmed earlier today. And yes,
Girl, you look cute, girl.
I'm aware. It was brought to my attention. I had to make a decision whether or not to finish, keep my word, or stop,
Oh, because he's supposed to be suing
disappear.
her.
I mean,
Yeah, it's a lawsuit,
disappear. Um,
even though she didn't say his name.
okay, let's finish. So, first of all, let me say this. It is not easy telling this story.
Mm-hmm.
It is, it's
It's gonna make you look
entertaining.
crazy.
I know it's gone viral, um, but it is not easy
Yeah,
telling this story.
yeah,
I made a decision to tell the story. I made a decision to share my story, what I went through, in hopes that it helps just one person.
yeah. It will.
But I would be remiss if I didn't tell you all it is not easy telling this story, to
Yeah,
relive it,
it's
to
crazy. It's
face
crazy.
certain things out loud that
Mm.
I had to face internally.
Mm.
Just want to say that.
You started it though. We
So
didn't ask for this.
I
We wouldn't even know you.
will push forward to finish, but today got to me. The toll of this got to me today. So I know that you all are like, we're waiting on the next part. We're waiting on the next part. I appreciate that and I get it. Because if I was in those shoes, I would be waiting too and be like, where is it? So I understand that. Um, but the toll was real today.
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, we are still in July of 2021. I talked
What
to
you doing?
the
Watch some
brother
pictures?
Chris. I talked to the aunt. I talked to all these people, and now was the time where I had saw the receipts for the weekend jail type thing. So I went ahead and did a search for his criminal history.
Mm.
I ran his criminal history. I did that on my own at home with my money. So this was not, I think someone had asked if I did anything with my job. No, I did not. I know better. So I ran a criminal history, or I paid for a criminal background report. For him to say that he appreciates law enforcement so much, it was
Mm.
obviously a lie, because the criminal history showed that he had been arrested for criminal trespassing. He had been arrested for like suspended license, suspended registration. But the big thing was impersonating an officer. If you don't know
Child,
anything about impersonating an
didn't I
officer,
call him a
it
con
is a
artist earlier?
felony.
Let me go. Let me
Period,
see.
point
Did I use the
blank.
right word? Let me
As
see.
sure as Peachtree runs from Bankhead to Buckhead, it is a felony. So,
Mm.
seeing that, seeing what court it was in,
Oh, he's a con
I
artist.
did
That's exactly what I
another
thought
open
he did.
records request
Okay.
for the incident report. I wanted to know exactly what the circumstances were, especially given the fact that I worked in law enforcement at the time. What were the circumstances as to how he was
Mm.
arrested for impersonating an officer? So I did an open records request. I got the incident report, and
You did a whole lot.
I'm tired of saying my jaw hit the floor. But on this one, my jaw hit the fucking floor. I respect law enforcement. Again, I was working in an agency with a lot of great men and women. Basically, what the incident report, and I'm paraphrasing it because I don't have it sitting in front of me.
Take your time,
Basically, what the
cause
incident report shows is that he pretended to be an officer using a badge. I later found out it was the badge that his dad had as a former correction officer. Same last name. So he was pretending to be a police officer at an apartment complex on the south side of Atlanta, and proceeded to tell people that he was an investigator and he was looking for drugs. He also
oh,
proceeded
he was a
to try
crackhead.
to pat down someone, and then also proceeded to try to go into a woman's apartment and do a search. This is in the incident report.
Wait, so he was a crackhead, and he was trying to take advantage of a woman. Hold on, wait a minute, girl. Who did you marry? Girl, do you know who you married? Child, this is ghetto.
So naturally, the woman who he was trying to get into her apartment to do a search
What?
happened to either work with or worked at
Sis had a
a
peacekeeper.
local police department. So she just simply called her coworkers or called her homeboys or
Okay, y'all, we back. Let's pick up where we left off at.
paid for a criminal background report. For him to say that he appreciates law enforcement so much, it was obviously a lie because the criminal history showed that he had been arrested for criminal trespassing. He had been
Mm,
arrested for like suspended license, suspended registration. But the big thing was impersonating an officer.
mm,
If you don't know anything about impersonating an officer, it is a felony. Period, point blank. As sure as Peachtree runs from Bankhead to Buckhead, it is a felony. So, seeing that, seeing what court it was in, I did another open records request
she
for the
spent money,
incident
y'all.
report. I wanted to know exactly what the circumstances were, especially given the fact that I worked in law enforcement at the
And
time.
she's still
What were the
invested.
circumstances as to how he was arrested for impersonating an officer?
Mm,
So I did an open records request. I got the incident report, and
mm.
I'm tired of saying my jaw hit the floor.
Well, don't say it.
But on this one, my jaw hit the fucking floor. I respect law enforcement. Again, I was working in an agency with a lot of great men and women. Basically, what the incident report, and I'm paraphrasing it because I don't have it sitting in front of me. Basically, what the incident report shows is that he pretended to be an officer using a badge. I later found out it was the badge that his dad had as a former correction officer. Same last name. So he was pretending to be a police
Mm,
officer at an apartment complex on the south side of Atlanta and proceeded to tell people that he was an investigator and he was looking for drugs. He also
mm.
proceeded to try to pat down someone
Y'all, this
and
is
then
giving
also proceeded
something mental.
to try to go into a woman's apartment and do a search. This is in the incident report. So, naturally, the
Mm.
woman who he was trying to get into her apartment to do a search happened to either work with or worked at a local police
She
department.
had
So
that
she just
peacekeeper.
simply called her coworkers or called her homeboys or whatever. And so he was subsequently arrested and subsequently was charged and found guilty. That is what I found in his criminal record report.
This man was crazy.
It is fair to note, had I known that he had a criminal history, we never would have even finished date number one.
Hold
Some
on,
things I'm
Reesa Teesa. I think that it's unfair to say if she had known he had a criminal record, she would never finish date one with him. I think it's okay to keep, but just because somebody has a criminal record, don't mean that they aren't worthy of a date. If you get my drift, it depends on what they've done. Now, in this case, with all the other stuff that he had going on, baby, I agree. But I'm just saying, like a speeding ticket, or you did something childish. I don't know, drinking in public. I don't know. That stuff right there, it should not dictate whether somebody is worthy of a date or not, right? You probably something you did when you were younger, you were a juvenile, whatever. But this right here, I agree. Baby, you shouldn't have finished date number one. When that tire blew out, you should have caught you a lift home. That should have been the end of that. But anyway, let's continue. Let's continue. Don't shoot the messenger.
just not going to get involved with if I know from the rip. Um, so what does this mean? Again, we've been going over what's the lie, what can you confirm? I can confirm that there was no way that this man ever had a passport to take me to London.
Because he's a criminal.
When he claimed that he was voting in the election, there's no way that he did because he tried to tell me that he was still a registered voter in California and that he did it online.
Mm.
I knew it was a lie, but again, at this point in July, I'm able to confirm that, yeah, you never had a passport. You never
Mm.
voted.
Mm.
The small things that mean something to me, he never did it.
Maybe
He
all
wasn't
that
eligible
stuff
to.
should have meant something to you.
So
What?
now I know that not only have you, yes, been arrested. Now, what happened as a juvenile, I don't care. But you
Right.
have been arrested. You
Right.
have done some sort of time.
Mm-hmm.
And now it explains why you knew your way around the county so well. If you go back to the previous videos, I had mentioned that I was wondering, how do you know your way around here? And the story was his sister used to live in this county and he would come visit when he would fly in from
But he's
California,
actually from Georgia. We got it.
when he would go see his parents in Augusta.
We got it.
That was the story.
That's how he knew his way
So
around.
that explains the criminal history. Um, and I'm also going to take you guys back and remind you when I had to go in for my polygraph and
Oh.
how the polygrapher had asked me, do you know anyone that is a convicted felon that you have relationships with, blah, blah, blah. And remember, I said to him, my husband and I are estranged. I honestly don't know.
Mm.
Fast forward to July, where I find out that, yes, in fact, on top of everything, I was married to a convicted felon.
Whew.
Had
Yeah.
no idea. No idea whatsoever.
You did not know this
And
man's
it's
family.
nothing but the grace of God that I was honest with the polygrapher and telling him, look, I don't know what's in this man's background. To say that I have no idea who I married is an understatement.
You didn't.
It is a complete understatement.
I agree.
It's fair to say, well, you only knew him for like 2.5 weeks before you quarantined with him. That's fair. And I can understand that and I take responsibility for that.
Sad.
But in the big scheme of things, I had no idea the creature that I was sleeping next to every night. No idea. All right, part 45, who the fuck did I marry? So we are now end of July, August time frame.
2021.
During this time, Legion basically disappeared. Remember, I'm still waiting on the final divorce decree to come up. I'm actually waiting for the 30 days to be up so I can file the divorce settlement form. So I'm waiting on those 30 days to be up. I'm playing nice with him. I'm being cordial. I have uncovered all kinds of stuff. But just in case he was going to act a fool, I was trying to be cordial. So
I want to know why you do this kind of research before you marry this man. You married this man and you did. You start doing all this detective work after you found out what he had going on. Why you didn't do that from the beginning, baby? You met this man on Plenty of Fish. Girl, you should have did your background check from when y'all met. Stay off them dating websites. Some people is not who they say they are all the time. Y'all, this is crazy. And we is too grown. We is too grown to be caught up in stuff like this. Okay, y'all, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just saying.
I had spoken to him on like a Monday and I was trying to get a hold of him for something, but I'm the one that initiated a phone call in the coming days. Never heard from him. Never heard from him at all. His phone was dead.
Then
It
you
was
say
going
he
straight
was
to
sleeping in his
voicemail.
car. He ain't had no money
And
for
I
no phone.
genuinely was worried. A few days turned into a week. By the time I hadn't heard from him in a week, because I knew he was not living anywhere but his car. I knew that. So this is what happened, y'all. I first reached out on Facebook. Remember, even though he has told me
Why you looking
that
for
he
him?
had all
Let me
these
listen.
siblings. We know he didn't have all these siblings.
Let
But
me
remember, I told y'all I had met the brother in Augusta and I had met the brother in Baltimore. These are people I've met. The brother in Baltimore I talked to on FaceTime. The brother in Augusta I've actually physically met, hugged, shake hands, all that. So I reached out to on Facebook to people that I remember him talking about all the time. The friend Omar, the brother in Augusta, the brother in Baltimore,
The lies
another cousin in
to the
Augusta.
story.
I was doing a search for these people's names, just like, hey, have
Now
you
you should be
heard
able
from
to say
Legion?
that.
The brother in Augusta told me, no, I haven't heard from him. I've been trying to reach him, but the phone's going straight to voicemail. I
Mm.
knew he was living in his car. So my brain was doing everything it could not to go on the deep end.
And looking for the
I
car?
reached out on Facebook to the brother in Baltimore and I said, hey, it's gave him my name and I said, have you heard from Legion? Now, mind you, the brother in Baltimore and him have talked on speakerphone. I guess it's important that I make that distinction. They have talked on speakerphone. So I know that they have talked at least in 2020.
This
So
is
I
the
said to
brother.
him, again, according to Legion, they talk all the time. But I have heard them on the phone in 2020. So I said, have you talked to him? The brother from Baltimore informs me, no, I ain't talked to him. He owes me money.
Mm.
So I ain't got nothing to say to him. And I said, wait a second, like, he was telling me that y'all are brothers. He was like, man, he's like a brother. But I don't fuck with it. I don't fuck with him because he owes me money. So they had
Sad.
not spoken. This is now July 2021. They had not spoken in well over 6 months. So all the phone calls, this is what it means, guys. All the phone calls that he had with the brother in Baltimore in 2021 were not real.
Mm.
Then I reached out to the Omar guy,
You should have all
and
this in
I remember the story was is that he and him known each other's years since California, worked together at the condiment company.
live.
I reached out to Omar and said, have you heard from Legion by any chance? Explained who I was. He responds with, and I'll never forget it, he responds with, no, I have not heard from him. I have absolutely no contact with him whatsoever. We are not friends, and I would appreciate if you do not reach out to me again about him.
Mm.
The stories I was told was that this dude is supposedly his best friend. Shocking moment. So they had not spoken in years. They're not cool. He does not fool with him. Okay. Went on to the next person, a female cousin I had met. She said, no, I have not heard from him. Why would I hear from him? We don't really talk. Like, I think she was genuinely weirded out by the fact that I'm reaching out to her out of the blue asking, hey, by any chance, have you talked to my soon-to-be ex-husband? So what I discovered because he ended up being gone for 2 weeks.
Mm.
What I discovered in those 2 weeks, let me be very clear with the statement I'm getting ready to make. I reached out to every person I know who apparently has had some form of relationship with him. Either he said that they were friends, they talked on the phone, he said they hung out. The brother in Baltimore, I was told, had been to the house while I was at work. Brother in Baltimore said, no, that never happened. I've never been to your house. All these people knew that Legion was a liar. And I think that they all felt bad, with the exception of the Omar guy, felt bad that I was kind of just discovering what they've known for years. In those 2 weeks, I found out every single person I reached out to, not a single one of them gave a shit if that man was dead or alive.
Mm.
All of them had the attitude, some even said it, no, I haven't heard from him. I don't care to hear from him.
Only you looking for him, baby.
It was as if, for me, it was such a sad moment because I discovered this man has no friends. Fuck whatever he has said. I am now able to prove it. He has no friends. There is nobody
He was his
who was
only hope.
concerned that they have not heard or seen him in over 2 weeks.
That's
Some
what
people
happened. He burned them
months.
bridges.
One guy years. None of them were concerned. So basically, what I'm saying is that I discovered
What I say? He burned them bridges.
he had burned bridges with everyone. Burned bridges with family, burned bridges with so called friends, burned bridges with fake brothers, fake sisters, fake aunties, uncles, everything. He had burned bridges with everyone. And for me, that was more telling than anything else.
Girl, you don't know what's
Yes,
telling
I
and
knew he
not.
was a liar.
Bye,
Yes, I
Felicia.
knew he had made stuff up. I was genuinely surprised to discover nobody gave a shit about this man. No one.
Mm.
I had never met every single family member, but the fact that he was living in his car, the fact that he wasn't bathing and was
You
just had
felt for him.
disappeared
You got empathy.
was shocking to me.
Yeah.
So, where was he for those 2 weeks? Glad you asked. He had checked himself into a behavioral hospital in Augusta. Why?
Mm.
Not to get help. No. This is July in Georgia. It's hot as hell. It's sweaty. It's damp. It's
He
humid.
needed
It's
somewhere to
everything.
stay cool.
He checked himself into a hospital so he could stop sleeping in his car for 2 weeks. When he checked himself in, they took his phone, and that's why no one was able to get a hold of him. And by no one, I mean me. He checked himself into a hospital so that he could have a bed for a couple of weeks. That's the type of human being
That's what happens.
that I was dealing with.
That's generally what happens. No lie. That's what be
Part
happening.
46. Who the fuck did I marry? So, after the whole missing in action debacle where he disappeared for a couple of weeks, Legion started calling and texting me, telling me that he was ready to come home. Yes, you
Mm.
heard that correct. So, apparently, someone had told him that legally he did not have to leave the house when I kicked him out because it was a marital home and he had just as much right to be there as I did.
Ooh,
So
child.
he started harassing and calling the shit out of me.
Girl, you got to
He
move
was
now.
calling, I mean, 30 times in 1 hour. He was Facebook Messenger calling me. Let me be clear. Facebook Messenger calling me.
Block him.
He was calling me so much. He was messaging me saying, I'm coming home. I'm going to get some money and drive up from Augusta. You have to let me in the house. It's not fair what you're doing. All this other bullshit. I mean, it was non-stop. He would start calling at 7 o'clock in the
I mean,
morning.
but is he
He
right?
would not stop calling until 10 o'clock at night.
Is
He
he
was
right?
calling so much, leaving messages, like I said, just straight up harassing me. So I reached out to attorney friends. I reached out to local law enforcement. Local law enforcement
He right.
informed me, well,
That's what
technically,
he
he's
right.
right
That is a marital
because
home.
he is still legally your husband. Our divorce had not been finalized at this point.
Did you let her back in the
The
house?
paperwork had
Yeah.
been sent in. I was just waiting on the judge to give me her signature, but it hadn't happened yet. So the local law enforcement did tell me if he comes back, our officers would have to let him in the house. You don't
Mm.
have to stay there. They gave me different options. I mean, I was trying everything in the book because he is saying I'm coming back to the house. I told him, do not come. You were not welcome. I'm not letting you in the house. Again, the locks had been changed. The code had been changed. So I told him, if you come to this house, step foot on this property, I'm calling the police and getting you arrested for trespassing.
He
You
not
should
done.
know about that. He was adamant. He was adamant that he was allowed back in the home. He didn't know the conversations I had with local law enforcement, but somebody was in his ear telling him, nah, you can go home because
He
she's
got
not
some
allowed to kick you
connection
out.
with the law enforcement.
Okay. So I didn't know when he was scheduled to come because he was trying to get the money for the gas to get back to Clayton County.
Shit.
I tried everything I could. Basically, what my options were simple. Let him in the home, and I can stay in the home, put him in a room,
Girl, did it come back
just
in the
have no
house?
dealings with him. But again, I
Sweetheart.
don't want to be under the same roof with him. This is what the local police told me. I could have an
Mm.
officer go room to room and let his body cam film the room to see the condition of the house. And if Legion showed up,
You
I
guys
would leave the
always
house.
is crazy.
I can go to a family member's home and stay there. This is literally in August, right before my lease is up. So I was already moving. I had already secured another home. Did exactly what I said I was going to do. Moving to Cobb County. So I just needed a couple of weeks before I vacate the home. So the other option was, again, have the officer film the home with the body camera. That way it shows what the condition of the home is at the time that he moved in. So if anything gets messed up, I can sue him. What am I going to sue him for?
That's what I'm saying.
But nevertheless.
It's a lose for you.
Or the third option is I can stay there with him, make life miserable.
Mm.
So my plan was the option of have them film the home. I was not staying in the same house with him.
I agree.
I didn't care. Also, there was no guarantee, and I told the officer this. Look, if y'all allow him to stay in this house, I am telling you by tomorrow morning, every utility in this house will be off. He will have no running water. He will have no air condition. This place will feel like a sauna. Officer kind of chuckled and was like, again, ma'am, I mean, this is one of those domestic situations. He is allowed in the home. Okay. So again, I had no idea when he was coming. I was on pins and needles every day. I'm seeing the phone ring, like I said, about 30 times every hour. I'm seeing the messages. I'm seeing this. I had reached out to a police captain. I had reached out to the chief of police. I was trying to get all kinds of help. Like, it ain't what you know, it's who you know.
Oh, that's true.
So he eventually tells me I'm going to be there on Wednesday. This is just an example. I'm going to be there on Wednesday.
Get your hotel.
I had been calling a police captain who was really gracious, really kind, and was trying to help me because I was like, bro, I just need 2 weeks and I'm out of this house. And we already knew he legally could not go to the new house. I was trying to see if I could move in early to the new place. The landlord was like, I really can't let you. So I felt like I was running out of options. He's saying he's coming. He's saying he's coming. He's adamant he's coming. I guess somebody felt sorry and gave him some gas money so he could drive from Augusta up to Clayton County. So the day before all this goes down, the police captain called me. And he informs me
Saving grace?
He informs me that they ran his name through GCIC, which is a database that law enforcement agencies use. Turns out, he has a warrant for his arrest.
Girl, look at
so the police captain says this changes everything. If he shows up to the house, don't do anything. Call us. I will have officers to your home, and they will simply arrest him. So I know that this is a short part, but I'm going to dedicate the next part to what happened when he showed up to my house.
Child, he came to the house,
Part 47. Who
he
the
came
fuck
to
did
the
I
house.
So here's what happened. This was mid-August. Went to work as usual. It actually happened on a Friday. I had to look at the dates. It happened on a Friday. Went to work. Still, he was calling me, texting me, messaging me that he was on his way. And so I was a bit on pins and needles all day. I was dreading going home, and that is a horrible feeling to dread to go home.
I understand.
So he had called me and said that he was at the house in the driveway. I guess he had to use the restroom, so he decided to go to the Walmart up the street to go use the bathroom. I wasn't answering phone calls. I wasn't answering text messages. I simply called the police captain. I said, hey, He's saying that he's at the house. The police captain himself drove by the house, but I believe he drove by the house when Legion went to Walmart to use the
Somebody was
bathroom.
there.
So the police captain was like, I don't see anyone there. But again, if when you get home, if he is there, do not engage. Call us.
Okay, good
Okay, no
instruction.
problem. Because I got you
Go
on speed
police
dial.
chief.
So I go home. I'm on the phone with both my mother and my aunt on a three-way call. They're both like, oh my God, you know, what do we need to do? I drive into my subdivision. What he did not know was that he had backed into the driveway up against the garage. Normally, I park my car in the garage. But what he didn't know was that at the time I was driving a fleet car. So I wasn't even in my normal car.
He didn't
And I
recognize.
know that he was waiting to see my car, the Nissan Altima that he helped get, pull in to the subdivision and then pull in towards my townhome. That didn't happen. Because I'm in a different car, he didn't recognize it. So when I turned onto my street, as sure as it is hot in Georgia in the
He
summer,
right there,
that
baby.
man was sitting in the driveway in his Ford Taurus.
Child.
Okay? So I live at the time not far from a cul-de-sac. So when you go straight down, you just turn around the cul-de-sac to come back up. So that's exactly what I did. I went to the corner, turned off so that I can see the house, but he would not have been able to see me. I went ahead and called 911. I was very calm, told them exactly what the captain had told me to say. I was like, my name is, the address is, I need police here because my ex-husband is here. He is not supposed to be here. And I feel as though I am in danger. She said, okay. She, again, regular phone call. She said, we're dispatching police to your home. As soon as I hang up, I then call the police captain. He immediately answers the phone. He says, we just got the call. I'm sending 4 officers your way. Okay, good.
You made a good
Get off the
connection,
phone,
girl.
call my mom and my aunt back because they were both like, call us back. Call them back on 3-way. I continue to sit there until I see 4 officers, 4 cars pull in and stop just in front of my house. So then I ease up.
It's a movie.
He gets out the car, I guess, trying to see what's going on. I explain to the officer that walks to my window, I say, this is what's going on. So I was trying to sound extra law enforcement smart. I was like, check him through GCIC. You're going to find that he has a warrant out for his arrest for violation of probation. And the officer kind of smirked because she was like, we know. We already checked GCIC. The captain called us. So I was like, okay. So anyway, they tell me to sit in the car. They go up to the window of the car and ask him to step out of the car. He does. When he stepped out the car, I was like, oh my God. I hadn't seen him
He said he
since
went from a 3X
the
to
end
an
of
extra large,
June
so now he probably
when I
small.
met him at the UPS store. And he looked bad then. He was still in the same clothes. When I told you guys when I met him, he was like a size 3X.
Girl, she said he went to a medium.
What got out of the car was easily a medium or large. Easily.
I knew it.
That is how, and it makes sense because, he probably wasn't eating.
I knew it.
Except for somebody gave him $6 for chicken nuggets. But what got out of the car was something I didn't even recognize.
It said stress and stuff.
So he gets out of the car. They arrest him. There was no incident or anything like that. He was arrested peacefully. They put him in the back seat. My neighbors are all looking like, what is going on? And so the officer comes up to me and she said, he's asking to speak to you. Do you want to speak to him?
No.
I said, yeah. So she walks with me. Keep in mind, she's wearing a body cam. So she walks with me to the window. They put the window down. And I remember looking at him. I was like, I told you not to come. And he said, I just wanted to get my stuff. I just wanted to get the TV. I said, what TV? The TV that you gave me in the divorce? And he was like, yeah, that TV. And I said, it's mine. You gave it to me. I have the fucking text messages proving that you gave me the TV.
Girl, don't get mad
And I'm trying
now.
not to scream because the neighbors are all watching. And he was like, I know. I just needed my stuff. I'm sorry. I'll never bother you again. I'm sorry. And so I look at the officer and I was like, you have me out here with 4 fucking police cars. You have embarrassed me to no end. You have made a fool of me. And you got the audacity to now be like, I'm sorry. I'm like, fuck, you're sorry. So the officer was kind of like, okay. I said, I never want to see you again. He was like, you won't. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So I walk off. The officer is like going through the stuff that was in his wallet. They took it out and put it on the roof of the car. So the stuff that was in his pants, like his wallet, his keys, they put it on the roof of the car when they had him get out the car. And so she's just like, I said, did you catch all that on body cam? And she said, yeah. I said, he gave me the TV. And she said, yeah. She's like, we're going to take him in and we'll have somebody look at him, because in her words, she said he's definitely having a mental episode right now.
Absolutely.
In the back seat.
Something's going on.
And I just shrugged and I was just like, I just said, I just want to be done with him. I just want to be done. I just want to be done. And so she was like, I understand. I totally get it. So his car is in my driveway. The keys and everything are, they took it with them because I guess since it was on him, they took it with them for processing at the jail. I think that's how that works, because I didn't see the wallet or the keys afterwards. So at this point, 4 officers leave. I go into the house. Everything's peaceful and calm.
Girl, he called you from jail.
A few minutes later, I go outside to check the mail.
Girl, it's the divorce.
What's in the mail but a letter from the court? I open it up. I go into the house because, again, it's hot. I had my wig on. My head is all sweaty and stuff. I'm just angry and just angry. That raised my blood pressure. So I go in the house. I sit on the steps inside the house and I open up the mail from the judge.
It's the final.
And it's my final divorce decree.
Go ahead, girl.
And I'm smiling right now. But y'all, when I got that divorce decree sitting on the stairs, I broke down into ugly Oprah tears.
Ooh, that was ugly.
I broke down. It was as if a year worth of weight came off of me. Literally. I broke down, and I mean, I wailed. I broke down. I broke down so bad.
We almost done, y'all.
Next part.
We almost done.
Part 48. Who the fuck did I marry? So after I finished breaking down, wiped my tears, and his car is still in the driveway. I couldn't park in the driveway. So I called the car company. I had called the car company once before when he went missing for those 2 weeks to ask them if they maybe had a tracker on the car and could track it. And the nice gentleman informed me that the tracker had not been giving a signal off for about 5 months. So he wouldn't really give me details on the car, but obviously the car had not, the car payment was not being made on that car. It had not been made on that car for quite some time. So he and I split in June, but apparently the car payment wasn't made long before June. Can't speak to that, but he still had the car. Okay. So, called the car company. I told them, I understand that y'all are looking for this Ford Taurus. And the lady said, yes, or you can make a payment. I said, no, y'all can come get it. Period. Here's the address. When do y'all want to get it? And she said, well, I can have a driver come get it tomorrow morning. I said, no problem. That car will be ready for you to get it tomorrow morning. And so the car was repossessed out of my driveway the next morning, Saturday. The driver was there about 7 o'clock in the morning. He had the master key for the car, cranked it up, drove it, put it on the tow truck, and left.
Child, good for you.
Here's what that now means. When Legion left my house in June, he left with 2 bags of clothes. Everything else was in my house. At the end of July, or towards the end of July, everything that he had left in my house had been donated to the domestic violence shelter, which means that the only thing that Legion had were the clothes that he had taken with him in the car. When he got arrested in my driveway, all of his clothes were still in the car.
So
And when the car got repossessed Saturday morning, all of the clothes were in there. Which means that when he went to jail, whenever he got out, he only got out with keys to a car he no longer had, a wallet with probably no money in it, and the clothes that were on his back. Everything else was gone. Now we can fast forward to what happened around August 29th. So I was scheduled to move August 31st. Remember, I'm moving up to Cobb County. We had been checking the court documents. He had a court date scheduled for around August 29th or August 30th. I don't remember the exact date.
Why is she taking the court date?
The court time was supposed to be around 9 o'clock in the morning. My mom was watching the court filings online, and according to her, because I missed it, they showed him on the screen because this was still during Zoom. They showed him on the screen, and then he was ushered out of the court into like a back area, and an attorney spoke on his behalf. Between the time that he had been arrested and the time of the court date, I had never in my life slept so good. Truthfully, never slept so good. I was officially divorced. I had no ties to him. There was nothing in the house of his there was nothing of his that was still in the house. I felt free. So when the court date happened and my mom told me what she saw on the Zoom, I was confused. Is he getting out? Is he having to serve time? What's going on?
But why do you care?
I called the courts. I tried to speak to his attorney, and his attorney had a horrible attitude and was like, why are you calling me? And I informed him. I said, look, I'm a bit afraid of this man. So can you please just tell me if he is being released, or is he going to be kept, or if he is going to be sentenced to a longer jail term? He said no, he's not being kept in a longer jail term because the warrant had expired. So when the police arrested him, yes, it was a valid arrest, but the warrant had expired. So I believe the warrant had expired like 6 months earlier, but of course it wasn't put in the system. Which means that if the court date is August 29th, he's going to be released August 29th or August 30th. I'm moving August 31st. So my mom was just like, please just spend the night at your aunt's house. Like, just spend the night at your aunt's house, then go back to the house during the day. The movers will be there, and then just move. So that's exactly what I did, because there was concern that he would get out of jail angry and catch an Uber with no money and come back to the house, either for retaliation or because he's just in a fucking manic mode. And so that's where he went. I really didn't want to take any chances. It's just that simple. I did not want to take any chances. I knew that at that point, legally, the law's on my side. Y'all are divorced. You have no reason to be at this home. I knew that that's what the police would say. But I wasn't 100% sure, because truthfully speaking, I did not know this man.
You didn't.
We can make all the jokes we want. I did not know this man.
You did not.
I thought I knew him, but you never really know a pathological liar.
I agree.
So, needless to say, he got released August 30th, I went to my aunt's house for the night. August 31st, I went back to the house. The movers were there. They packed me up, and we got out of there so quick. I think they packed me up in about 2 hours. I honestly told them there is extra money in this if you guys can get me packed up, meaning loaded up onto the truck because everything was packed. But I explained to them this is a domestic situation. I need you guys to move quickly. When I moved out of that house on August 31st, anything that Legion touched, I got rid of. I sold the furniture. I sold dining room tables. I donated plates, glasses. When I tell you I moved out and I started over, I completely purged my life.
I agree.
Completely started over. I mean, I was not willing to take a single item into my new home that reminded me of him. From the dishes in the kitchen to the towels in the linen closet. When I tell you Amazon and Ross were my best friends,
okay,
I mean they were my best friends. Because I could not fathom
I agree.
moving into a new home, a new space with anything that reminded me of him. I sold the bed, got a new bed. If he had bought me clothes, I got rid of them. If he bought me shoes and purses, okay, I kind of kept the heels. But everything else I got rid of. So I completely purged my life. Completely. Started over from the bottom in terms of just the move. I could not take any piece of him with me. Could not.
I agree.
Part 49, who the fuck did I marry? So after the whole, I moved and I started over, basically, completely started over. So there was a period of time where different people had reached out to me, people who knew him. Apparently, he was still trying to find a couch to sleep on. And so one guy in particular had reached out to me because I guess Legion had asked him if he could come and stay with him and his family because he was homeless and had nowhere to go. And so he had lied and told the guy, because again, he's a liar. So he had lied and told the guy that, you know, I had kicked him out. We're divorced. I had taken all his money. And so that's why he's homeless. So the gentleman simply was reaching out to me on Facebook to confirm what is actually true. And he and I talked, because he ended up calling me. He and I talked for a while. Very respectful, really nice guy, very compassionate. And so I told him, I was like, I said, we're divorced. So
I hope she not lying.
I have nothing to do with him. I said I wouldn't bring him in my house with my family if I were you. But that's just me. And so the guy was like, lady, you know, he didn't say lady, but he was like, lady, you dodged a bullet. He was like, I know you may not see it now, my sister, but you dodged a bullet. You dodged a bullet big time. And so, you know, just in talking to him, he was very encouraging. Like, it sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders. It sounds like you a good woman. And no, he was not flirting at all. He was like, it sounds like you a good woman. And I really hope this does not mess you up. Like, don't let him mess you up. Yeah, don't let him, like, diminish your shine kind of thing. And I appreciate that. I did. Because at that time, again, had moved into my new place. 2021 was the worst year I ever had. I'm not saying that so that 2024 can be like, hold my beer. But 2021 was a dark year. Started out married, end of the year divorce, end of the year with COVID and divorce. And that period of time, that August, September time, I felt like I was just walking around like a numb woman.
You probably were. You were still
I didn't know if I was coming or going.
I
didn't know
yeah,
what I
I
didn't
agree.
know
You
what to
probably
do
just lost.
because I felt like I had just been through hell.
Somebody said that
And
for you,
it was a period of time where I had to sit
allegedly.
down and I had to really, really deal with some stuff that I just simply was not ready to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I had to come to grips with that I really wasn't ready to come to grips with.
Mm-hmm.
So, fast forward all this time, get to December of 2021. Yes,
Yeah,
this is where the story
2022.
does end. Get
Okay,
to
girl.
December of 2021.
Wrap it up.
I am out sick with COVID. I'm not at work.
Mm.
I get a phone call from my coworker telling me that Legion has called our job looking for me
Ain't no way.
and was trying to get information to trying to get information on how to reach me. Yes, I had already changed my number. Again, I had already moved, but he knew where I worked. So apparently, he had called trying to find me,
This is
and the
crazy.
person that
He a
answered the phone
stranger
was
with us.
like, "We're not going to give you that information." So he said, "Well, can you ask her to give me a call? I'm just trying to get a hold of her so I can get my stuff." The stuff he's talking about are those tote bags from July.
With the lies in them.
So he was calling, and it was a problem. He was trying to reach out to me on Facebook. He was trying to reach out to family members on Facebook, trying to get me to call him so that he could make arrangements to come get his stuff. The devil is a lie.
Okay.
So my friend Tracy, who came to my rescue again, my friend Tracy was like, "Okay, here's what you're going to do." She said, "You're going to send him a message and you are going to say these exact words." I sent him a text message. She said, and she told me, "You're going to send a text message because it's going to be time stamped." And basically, the text message says, "I do not have your stuff. I did not have your stuff. I have nothing that belongs to you. If you continue to, you are disrupting the work of my job by calling and asking for me. We have no contact with each other. I will send you a copy of the divorce decree that shows whatever is in your possession you own and whatever is in my possession I own. If you contact me directly or indirectly ever again, I will get a restraining order on you." Now, for those of you who are watching this in 2024, and you're probably like, "Wow, she's dramatic." Please understand that what I just said, I meant.
You're not
I
dramatic.
mean that. If you ever try to contact me directly or indirectly, I will get a restraining
Child, we're
order.
gonna get 30 more parts of
I
this.
have it in writing. I've always had it in writing. And if I need to rewrite it again in 2024, I will because the boundaries still stand. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the last time I had any contact whatsoever with my pathologically lying ex-husband.
Child, I wouldn't even call him that. Ex
Part
stranger.
50. Who the fuck did I marry?
Final part.
So, the aftermath. There are some realizations I had to come to after the divorce and everything had passed. One,
A lot. A lot. You probably need to come to a
Legion never
realization
loved
on.
me. He
Duh.
never loved me.
Duh.
He doesn't love himself.
I don't think
So
you
I know
loved
he
him
didn't
either,
love
but
me.
that's nor here nor there. You like
Number
the fact
two,
that you thought he
he
had
didn't
money.
even like me. He watched me get excited about things that he knew I was not going to get. And
He
not
took
even just the
advantage of
possession
you
stuff.
in
Like,
some
of
ways,
course, we know
but I feel like you
I
did take
was
advantage of him. But
excited to be the woman whose husband is like, "I'm taking my wife to London." I was excited to be the
yeah,
woman whose husband was like, "Yeah, I bought my wife a brand new BMW
that's what the
X5."
problem was. The
You have to
materialistic
understand is all
things.
the jokes that we make about the BMW. It was the time and effort that he spent in taking me to dealerships and being sure to put me in the car and test drive the car and oh, I can see you in this. I like this for you. It seems safe. It was the effort to
Mm.
really make me believe that he was going to get this
Child.
just for him to fuck with me. The effort in taking me to all these
But
homes
you gotta take some
to see my
responsibility
face light
too,
up
sis.
as a woman who grew up on welfare, to be able to walk into these 4 and 5 bedroom homes knowing that he didn't have any money to buy it.
Highlighters.
Imagine if he had just been honest and said, "Hey, I like in my free time to go to open houses and just see how the other people live." Imagine if he had just said that versus wasting not only my time,
Would you have accepted him
but
if
the,
he said
the
that?
wasting the time of the realtors
That's the
who did
question.
nothing wrong. There's a level of cruelty to my ex-husband that I had never experienced before.
Mm.
And God knows I pray I never experience it again.
Not that is. People gonna be afraid to
That's the
approach you.
word that comes to mind when I think
They
of
gonna be
him.
like, girl,
He
you
is
gonna be hitting me
cruel
out on TikTok.
to and it wasn't just me, he did it to the ex-wife. So, do I trust? No. No. I trust the people who were in my life before him.
Mm.
If we were friends or if we were in a relationship
Prior
or
to this,
whatever and I knew you before him, I trust you explicitly. But
you
if you're
people is gonna be
somebody I
hard.
just met, I don't trust you.
Yeah,
I don't. There's no point in me
that's
getting
fair.
on here and saying and making it seem like, oh, I'm so strong, I'm so brave. I struggle big time.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, I want to like someone. On the other hand, I'm immediately thinking, what if it's a repeat? And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I can't go through that again. I can't. Um,
Mm.
every single thing in our relationship was a lie. It took me a while to realize every single day this man lied to me.
You
Every
allowed him.
single day he
You
lied to
allowed
me.
him. You said, and you even said you gave him leeways and
Every
passes on
conversation he
certain
had
stuff.
was a lie.
You allowed it.
I will never know how much he lied to me. I'll never know.
You
I've
don't
made my
need to
peace
know.
with it. I will
Yeah,
never know how
that's
deep it
right.
really
Make your
truly
peace with it and
goes.
be done with it. Ain't nothing left
I
in this
only
cup.
know what I experienced and I only know what God allowed me to see. But I'm willing to
It
bet
was
that
enough.
there's a lot I still don't know.
It was enough. You don't need to know. Stop doing it. Stop
When people
investigating.
say, "Oh, you dodged a bullet," like you just and I've read a lot of the comments on this,
Stop
and
reading
people have
comments.
sent me a lot of the comments. And so I need to make one thing very clear. I am fully aware I dodged a bullet. I am so
And
grateful
you
to
made a
my
bag
God
off this story,
that I did not
Chad.
have that man's child.
Ooh, Chad, can I do
I'm
a
sorry if that
who
offends
did
some of
I
you,
marry? Chad, am I gonna make a
but
bag like
it's
you?
the truth.
Ooh,
I'm
Chad, can
grateful
I
that
tell my story?
we didn't buy a
Girl, this is
house and
empowering.
that I'm not financially tied to him
But
in
you wanted to
any
be.
way, shape, or form. But I am also grateful for the fact that there are things about my ex husband that I discovered in terms of how he is when it comes to other women. And I'm grateful that God has kept me and protected me.
Because he slept with that prostitute, Peaches.
That's all I'm going to say.
He was with Peaches, child,
So
and
when I
Cream.
started out making this series and I made the decision to tell my story, my motive was I just want to help one person.
You
If
did.
there is a woman out there who's like, God, I want to be married and I met this guy and something don't seem right, but maybe it's not that bad. My advice is, honey, just go ahead and do your research because I can honestly tell you being single sucks. Okay. In my opinion, sometimes it sucks, but being married to the wrong person is a type of hell no one should have to go through.
Woo.
You should not have to be married to someone that does not like you. You should not have to
Okay.
be married to someone that doesn't even love you.
Now you're preaching, Risa. You
And
should
I
have been
know what
preaching
that
this in
is
the
like.
beginning.
I know what it's like to be
It's
told,
all
hey,
right to learn
babe,
a
you
lesson.
know I love you. And yet, I swear, I think that man sat back in the recliner with his WWE Championship Roman Reigns belt and laughed his ass off
Probably
at
did.
me every day.
He was a
Like,
part of the
damn,
surgeon.
she really believed that.
Blueface
Ha
and
ha ha
Krishan.
ha ha. I do. I really do think that.
He did.
My radar was broken
All the way. It wasn't even there.
because I
It
am
didn't
an
exist.
intelligent woman and I know that I know better. And I still sometimes ask myself, how the fuck did you let this happen? How did you let this be your story?
Mm. It really
All
could be any one
because
of us.
at the time I wanted it to be my turn. And I hoped it was my turn.
Mm.
And when people say, "Well, what do you mean by that?" I just meant we all see it, whether it's social media or real life. We all see where the woman had she done been through some stuff, but she finally met someone who appreciates, loves, and respects her, and it is a beautiful thing. I had hoped that when I met him, it was my turn for that. And instead of being obedient, I wanted to be right and I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And the cost of that decision
Detrimental.
was
You'll never
heavy.
forget it.
The toll of reliving this whole scenario was heavy. It was. I'm almost surprised at how hard it was to actually finish this playlist. Not because I couldn't remember stuff. I probably remember way more details than what I actually put out. But it's just the fact that it's like I'm reminding myself, how did you let this happen? So,
It's okay.
therapy is real. Therapy helps.
It is.
Stella Rosa Black helps too.
Oh, oh, not the Stella
And
Row.
yes, I will one day get to London. I will get my dark blue BMW X5 with a cognac interior. Um, I believe I will get those things. Just got to get them a different route. So, thank you all for being on the playlist of Who the Fuck.
All right, y'all. I just want to say in closing, ladies, don't settle. Let the red flags and you get out of there. We stop at red for a reason. Okay? We stop at red for a reason. Y'all, this just took me through a whirlwind of emotions. Like at some parts I felt really bad for her. It just was I just really felt really emotional. Then I started to feel like, girl, but you should have known. Girl, like what? You didn't see that? But I understand as women, I understand that we long for things. However, we have to wait our turn and don't just settle for anything. Don't marry somebody that you don't even know. She didn't even know this man's name. Girl, I just want to say that it's never okay. It is never okay to treat someone in which the way she was treated, allegedly. I also want to put out this disclaimer that this is my opinion. This is my opinion. You don't have to like what I have to say, but it's my opinion. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below if y'all want more reaction videos. Until next time, bye.